and Chief Financial Officer of the AFL-CIO. Countless union women everywhere have fought in the streets, in the workplace, and in the halls of Congress for rights like Social Security, workplace safety, equal pay, and more. Working women's values are at this country's core. And every Friday, I thank the labor movement for bringing us the weekend. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Robin Talbert, former president of the AARP Foundation and now executive vice president at the Women's Campaign Forum. I'm standing in for my Congresswoman Donna Edwards, representing the 4th District of Maryland. As a public leader, she has pushed for countless changes to improve the lives of Americans, including making communities safe, preventing youth gang activity, expanding options for new homeowners, and preventing violence against women, just to name a few. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
I'm Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. I am the second woman to serve as senator for the state of New York. I am firsthand an example of a woman who was helped by other women. As a U.S. Senator, I've been fighting for issues related to affordability for daycare, childhood obesity, making sure our children have advocates in Congress, and making sure our cities and streets are safe and secure. Who needs more women in government? Everyone!
My name is Dee Dee Lieh. I'm Executive Vice President of Government Relations for Viacom. I am proud to say that Viacom is a trailblazer when it comes to employing women in key executive roles. From BET networks to MTV networks to Nickelodeon to Comedy Central, Viacom has women in the driver's seat. Who needs more women in government? Everyone!
I'm Connie Morella, former Congresswoman from Maryland. Before 1990, women's health was pretty much ignored. Women were not included in clinical trials or medical research. As a matter of fact, the rats were male. Well, I'm proud that we now have reached the 20-year point of the Office of Research on Women's Health. And now women's health and girls' health will be focused on as never before. Who needs more women in government?
Everyone!
I'm Tracy Pugh, Chief of Staff to Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And I'm also a new mom. I'm standing in for my boss, who is the mother of 3 young children. The Congresswoman often says that when women aren't serving in elected office, it's not just a loss for women, but for the entire country. Women continue to be the primary decision makers when it comes to health care and education, and that should extend to all levels of public leadership. Who needs more women and more moms in government? Everyone!
I am Alma Morales Riojas, President and Chief Executive Officer of MANA, a national Latina organization. Since student council in elementary school, I've been very politically involved. Last century. Seeing women's unique leadership motivated me to teach young Latinas, or hermanitas, about civic engagement and how to reach their full potential. ¿Quién necesita más mujeres en el gobierno? ¡Todos!
I am Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, and I represent New York's 14th Congressional District in Congress, and I am the chief proud sponsor of the Women's Equality Amendment. And this year, the House passed my bill, which will create the first women's museum on the Washington Mall. My career has been a series of firsts. I was the first woman to represent the 7th Councilmatic District on the City Council, where I was the first woman to give birth while in office on the city council. And I'm the first woman to represent the 14th Congressional District, and the first woman to chair the Joint Economic Committee. But to me, it's never been about blazing new trails. It's about getting a seat at the table for all women, all the tables, not just the kitchen table, but the government table, the science table, the peace table. And when we're at those tables, we are in a better position to improve everyone's lives. Who needs more women in office? Everyone.
My name is Velda Jones-Potter, and I'm Delaware State Treasurer and a WCF endorsed candidate. As the first African American to serve in a statewide elected office ever in the state of Delaware, and the first woman to serve as finance director for the city of Wilmington, I know what it means to break some glass ceilings. I also know it's essential for women and all underrepresented groups to be supported in their efforts to achieve public office. So who needs more women in government?
Everyone.
I'm Kim Gandy, the longest serving officer and past president of the National Organization for Women. I'm now at the Feminist Majority, publisher of Ms. Magazine, and standing in for our founder, Gloria Steinem. We're here standing for equal representation in the media. And as Gloria says, the most workable definition of equality for journalists is reversibility. Don't ask her if she's running as a woman candidate unless you ask whether he's running as a man's candidate. In 2008, we named sexism and bias in the media during the campaign. Now we're not only naming it, we're offering ways to avoid it through the joint Name It, Change It campaign with the WCF Foundation and the WMC. The revolution begins today. Who needs more women in government?
Everyone.
I'm Connie Morella again, standing in for Senator Olympia Snowe. To quote Senator Snowe, as the first woman in history to serve in both houses of Congress, I know the vital importance of women breaking barriers and rising to leadership. When first elected, I was one of only 16 women in the House and 8 in the Senate. These numbers indeed have improved, but we're still a far cry from equality. Who needs more women in government?
Everyone.
My name is Terry Sewell, and I'm running for Congress in Alabama. And when we're elected, we will be the first woman to serve in the state of Alabama in Congress. Wow. And we couldn't do it with other women, without other women. Do know that I know what it means to have diversity at the table. I know what it means to have representation for women's rights in underserved communities. Who needs more women in government? Everyone.
My name is Jane Hampshire. I'm a producer, author, and blogger. As the founder and publisher of the leading progressive blog, Firedog Lake, I work to ensure that the public participates in open political discussions. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that women are essential to creating a progressive nation. Who needs more women in government?
Everyone.
My name is Lily Ledbetter. After working 19 years for Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, I discovered that I was being paid 20 to 30% less than my male coworkers. But after a decade in battles in the court and in Congress, I'm happy to say that the Lily Ledbetter Fair Pay Act was the first bill that the President signed into law. One thing I know, had it not been for those 90 women members in Congress, that bill would have never stood a chance of passing. Who needs more women in government?